Since the start of hostilities back in 2014, Ukraine has been aided in their fight against Russia by a wide array of foreigners. After the full-scale invasion, an increasing number of people from abroad began volunteering to fight in the newly established Foreign Legion. While most of these volunteers came from European and Western countries, there's a sizable amount of them who came from Latin America, such as a small group, well, more like duo, from Chile. Chile has maintained positive relations with Ukraine, condemning Russia's aggression. Zelensky and Boric even had a little chat. Based on my own experiences, most Chileans aren't hostile towards Ukraine and many outright support them. Back in high school, we even started off every day by praying for peace. And then there are those, of course, who have volunteered to fight for them. There are at least 2 confirmed cases of Chileans traveling to Ukraine as volunteers, as well as a third case that can't really be confirmed. The first to show up in the country was Loos Tores, an ex-carabinero from the northern city of Iquique. In an interview with the news broadcaster T13, he stated that his main motivation for helping Ukraine was to help those who were suffering. After getting the contacts from the Ukrainian embassy in the city of Santiago, he then sold his truck to afford the ticket to Europe. Interestingly, it wasn't his first time he'd been on the continent, as he had once lived in Germany and a few other European countries. He arrived in Ukraine back in 2022, shortly after the start of the invasion. Once there, he was integrated into a unit of the Foreign Legion, located close to the city of Lviv. He then came to the realization that he was the only Chilean in the Legion, which made him feel proud. Judging by his skills as a former cop and where he was stationed, Luis is probably doing some sort of auxiliary task in the rear. However, it wouldn't be long until the realities of war reached Lviv. A few weeks into the month of March, a Russian missile struck the Yavoriv military base, where Luis, along with many other foreign fighters, were stationed. During that attack, 30 people were killed. Luis would later say the following about the Russian forces. Here, when the Russians take a city, they shoot to kill, and they don't care who, whether it's a mother and a child, they just kill. Unfortunately, we haven't heard much about Luis since 2022. However, I believe that he's still continuing to help out in Ukraine, as if he were to be killed or to leave, then it would have probably had greater news coverage. Over on r/Chile, an image originated of a Ukrainian soldier holding a Chilean flag. While his identity isn't fully known, I'd have to guess that is probably Luis. Considering he's in full combat gear and is armed with an LMG, he could quite possibly be fighting on the front lines. The second known confirmed case of a Chilean fighting in Ukraine would be that of Sebastian Vak Flores. Unlike Luis Lagos, we know a lot more about him as he has an active Instagram account. Sebastian had originally joined the Chilean armed forces and became an officer with the rank of lieutenant. On his Instagram, he has shared plenty of experiences within the army, training exercises in foreign countries such as the US, and even travel vlogs. One post of his that caught my eye was about a book he had read. It's titled Peshmerga, Facing Death, which is about an Italian who volunteered to fight alongside the Kurds against ISIS. It's almost like it's foreshadowing what's to come. In June 2023, Sebastian traveled to Ukraine to join the Foreign Legion, passing down a promotion within the Chilean army. His reasoning for going was due to his distaste for Russian war crimes committed in the towns of Bucha, Irpin, and other places. Since he had actual military training, he was well suited to fight on the front lines. Obviously, his new work environment was very dangerous, and his life was in constant danger. 6 months after arriving in Ukraine, he was injured by a grenade dropped by a Russian drone. Luckily, he was able to cover his neck with his left arm, saving his life. He describes his encounter in a rather humorous way on his Instagram. The drone operator surely thought, what the fuck, 2 bombs at 2 or 5 meters and this guy is falling and waking up? What kind of cheat code is this one? Judging from his post, he is no longer on the front lines, most likely due to his injuries. He is, however, still trying to help by asking people to donate to Ukrainian units and by spreading awareness. In an interview, he would talk briefly about what he has seen in Ukraine. Have you seen hard stuff? Yes, lots of which I can't describe, but I've also seen the best in man, such as the support and loyalty between colleagues. The third and unconfirmed cases of a Colombian volunteer who may have had Chilean roots. Information on him is very rare. I was only able to find this Reddit post on r/Chile, which claimed that he had been killed. Unfortunately, we will probably never know his full story. There could have been a 4th volunteer, maybe even a 5th or 6th, as I do know a few idiots who I could convince to go. But unfortunately, Azov Battalion never got back to me. And that's about it. Perhaps one day I could cover the contributions of other Latin American countries. But till I do that, I'll see you next time.
Once again, Germany took a huge L in this war. Adolf thought he did something for real skull emoji. However, bro got absolutely cooked by British forces. W in the chat for United Kingdom.